I have a very special treat for you today. If you're tuning in and you're trying to find out more about what does the right cursor rules do I need to set up, what is the right MCP server that I should be using, I actually have the man, the myth, the legend. His name is Pontus. And this man is absolutely cracked because that's not even his day job. And he's just made this insane directory that's just gone insanely viral with like over 200,000 people, 200,000 plus people using this thing a month. That'll get you the right cursor rules, the right MCP servers that you need to hook up with. Even if you need to find a job, there's something kind of listed there. But on top of that, he's got another tool that can help you if you're scaling up beyond your native language to reach out to other countries that can translate. And one of the hardest things, especially if you're building apps in like the iOS space, is to do all those different doc strings and things. So there's something like that for you. And finally, if you're a founder and you're trying to figure out a good way to keep track of all your financial records and everything, Pontus also has an open source solution, which we're going to be covering that towards the end. So make sure you stay tuned for that because this is going to be a really packed show that we got going on. So without further ado, Pontus, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Yeah, so let's kick off the Cursor Directory, I guess. That's
sure.
The most hype we have, right? A short backstory, basically. I flew down to France, what is it, 6 months ago, and I downloaded a video from Sahil, the founder of Gumroad. Talked about cursor and cursor rules, and then also I noticed that Josh Pigford submitted some sort of cursor rule on his GIS, and I figured, like, hey, this is actually changing how my cursor is behaving. It's kind of new thing where you could give instructions for cursor to basically be more adapted to your code base. And I started to Google and trying to find things, and I couldn't find anything. So basically, I called up Victor after I watched the video, downloaded on flight.
Yeah.
I said, like, hey, I know we have a lot of things to do, but I think we need to do this directory.
Got it.
So basically,
let me see if I was fixing the echo here for those who had some stuff going on. I apologize earlier for the audio mixing issues, but I think I fixed the echo now. I had some echo issues earlier, so those who were just tuning in, thank you so much for letting me know about the echoes. Echo's gone. He's gone away quiet now. So go ahead and just give me a sound check real quick again. You're fine. Nothing changed on your end, but just doing another check. Yep, all is good. Cool, thanks. Everyone, huge shout out to everyone who's following right now. If you're on the streams, this is a raw live stream, and we basically have sorted this whole thing out immediately. So huge shout outs to everyone participating in the chats and the feedback. So I don't want to take away from what you're saying. So let's go ahead and just kind of kick this back off again as far as, letting people know, Pontus is, working on this thing called Cursor Directory. And so Cursor Directory, for those who don't know, is like the place right now for you to find like your cursor rules and MCP servers, like all the sauce that you would need to basically cook that you're right if you're doing any stuff right now. By the way, this stuff also works for Windsurf. So if you're coding with Windsurf, this works there. We are not sponsored by any of these folks, by the way. We're totally making this because we love to build and share with the community. And I think your story of how you discovered and made this thing is really, really cool. And the secondary thing that we're going to get into are for the folks who are wanting to do translations for their apps and have it available to other things is going to be really cool. And then talk about Midday as well. So if you want to find Cursor Directory, it's cursor.directory, and then that'll basically take you to the site. Pontus, kind of run it back again and let us know how this is going.
Yeah. Now I know what to say. So basically, 6 months ago, I took a flight down to Paris. I downloaded a video from Sahil, the founder of Gumroad, talking about cursor. I figured like, hey, there's a cursor rule, and then I noticed Josh Pigford had this gist on GitHub where he instructed cursor to basically be more adapted to his code base, and that sparked an idea. Like, I can't find anything on Google, not on Cursor's own forum either, like where I can find more specific rules to adapt to my code base. So basically, I got the idea. I called Victor instantly when we landed and said, like, hey, we really need to do this. So basically, taking up the computer on the train down further to Bordeaux in France from Paris, And in 3 hours, we designed the website. We added a bunch of rules, and then we posted it, and then it went quite viral from day one. And then basically it just lived as its own ecosystem. But then recently, 1.5 months ago, we took a facelift, added generate your own cursor rules, added MCPs, added a lot of more sauce to the website, basically. And now it's just grown crazy.
Whoa.
So yeah.
So you can generate your own cursor rules now with this. Dude, take me through
Yeah.
that
So
right now. Yeah, like I didn't know that. I just thought you could just copy and paste existing rules. Yo, let's go.
yeah. So basically, you upload your package JSON file, and it gives you some sort of starter from how you can structure your rules. Also, it's based on the new product rules. So it gives you hints of how you can specify how to use different packages in your code base, and gives you more insight how to adapt the rules and cursor to behave how you want it to behave, basically.
Whoa.
So it's a good starter place, basically, where you have nothing and you want to have some sort of structure to start and adapt even further.
Wow. Wow. So like for someone who's building, if you're building with maybe, iOS, you can just start typing in maybe your conventions. If you're not doing, like a lot of people stop doing the MVVM pattern, so they want to do their own pattern, or they have their own ways and directories. You can just describe it, and then it's going to generate the cursor rules for you. And so for them to get there, they just go to the very top. There's like these tabs that says MCPs, generate more, and sign in, and that's kind of how you're able to get to that section. Okay. That's a good gold nugget. I didn't know about that. That's really fire.
Yeah. So basically, we listen to feedback, because of course the whole directory is open source. Everything is open source regarding Cursor Directory. So it is a community. You can sign in, and we're adding new things all the time. We just recently added the board where you can post your projects. I mean, you all probably have seen the games that going around built with Cursor. So of course we have a game section. But also some sort of product hunt for cursor-related things, because the noise is quite big, right? Everybody's talking about cursor and all these shiny things, right? So it's hopefully going to be the one place where you find everything related.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the
so at the very top, basically. If we go to trending, is that kind of where that takes us up there? Okay.
Exactly. So you can see people posting stuff. Sahil posted a new video course here. And so this is a way to find interesting things, trending things in the community. You can post your own, and people can vote for it. So that's the idea.
That's awesome.
Moving a bit further, it's probably going to be a more forum specific, where you can talk around different topics, learn from each other, because everybody knows that it changes a lot all the time. It's good to have someone to lean against. So that's where the community comes in, right?
Got it. Oh man, that's genius, actually. Oh, that's really, really cool. So if you go to the top trending, you can post something, and then you best believe that we're going to be posting this live stream up in there. So make sure you upvote it.
For sure. Maybe we should do that now. Or somebody else wants to do it.
Yeah, if somebody else wants to do it, just grab the live stream, post it on there, to do the upvote. That'd be really cool.
I will upload.
So tell us about, I want to hear about an MCP server that you're using, because right now MCPs are super hot. And they basically allow you to just, put them on your cursor, and then you just like let it cook and stuff. So what are you working with?
So I have two favorites. I'm gonna showcase my top one. This is Browser Tools MCP.
Okay.
I mean, I see MCP as like a plugin extension for Cursor to be able to do things outside of your code base. And this one really, really shines because it connects together with your browser, right? So if you're building a Next.js app or web app, sometimes you have console issues, console errors, right, in your browser. And this extends Cursor to basically to be aware of those. When Cursor run in agent mode and it notices an error and it runs until it's fixed.
Yeah.
Now it can run and fix it all the way out to the front end. So it's basically end to end, right? So It's a good extension that really, really makes Cursor full-fledged aware of everything. So it's highly recommended from my side.
Okay. Wow. So in order for me to get there, I just basically have to go back to cursor.directory and it says featured MCPs. Is that kind of where I click them, or how do I find this?
So you can press the view all, or
Okay.
in the menu go to MCPs, and then you
Okay.
can search. So we
Okay.
have 1,800 MCPs submitted.
Whoa.
So yeah,
That's amazing.
it's
And how are
nice.
you handling all this, by the way, like from a technical level on your end?
So this is the fun thing. Like it started because everything is open source.
Yeah,
Everything has been static from day one. Basically, you're doing a pull request to add your rules.
I see.
But as the site has grown, we are adding as you actually can submit things. So we just like 3 weeks ago, we added that you actually could sign in, right?
Okay.
So then you get your profile, and then you can have the ability to actually upload your MCPs. You can create a job listing.
Hmm.
You can create the board listing. So we're going more after a self posting directory rather than being a pull request,
I see.
because the community wants to move faster, and that's what we want to support basically.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, because having one person to review is just kind of like a pain in the butt. Oh, that's genius. And so,
Yeah.
what's your like? We're gonna kind of hop into a little bit of technical specs, but like, what are you working with to
Yeah.
get that going, database wise?
I mean, those who have followed me for quite some time know that I'm a big fan of Supabase. So, of course, there's no difference here. It's full-fledged Supabase. I actually just recently upgraded from the free Nano instance. So now we have I think it's a small instance for $25, supporting, I think it's 16,000 users signed up in 3 weeks, which is kind of
Whoa.
crazy. And then, yeah. And of course, we have Vercel as our hosting provider, Next.js. Everything is really, really smooth. So yeah, I wouldn't be more happy with the technical choices. And of course, I know those tech things by hand because I built all my other things with the same. I think that is a critical thing to mention. Like always choose what you know,
Mhm.
and stick with it, and then adapt. Right.
That's right.
So yeah, of course, this is what I love. It makes me fly. So we're building a lot.
Man, that's super legendary. And so MCPs, you're definitely rolling with browser based there. And then you basically can just configure them by following the rules here, just by going right directly to the website. And if you
Yeah,
click one of them, like I think if there is a Supabase one there, yeah, hit Command plus so that it's
yeah,
just a little bit bigger as far as font, so that we can read it a little bit better. Or there we go, cool, yeah. Wow. Okay. So open cursor settings, basically configure the server, and then you're basically ready to go. And so this has instructions, and this I think it also has instructions for how to install it using Windsurf, right? Is it?
yeah. Actually, we have windsurf.run, another directory, which basically looks the same with the same information, basically.
Oh,
Uh, so yeah, you can follow that. I mean, it's the same content basically, because it works in windsurf also.
whoa.
So feel free to, to check it out.
Okay, so
Yeah,
windsurf.run. Let me just drop this link so other people can get this. So I'm dropping this right now so y'all can check this out. Yeah, because there are people right now who are switching back and forth between the two IDEs.
yeah,
And so,
yeah,
what I actually find it really easy to configure MCP servers in Windsurf. It's literally just, for example, click the Supabase one, and you can show people how easy it is to configure. It's like literally you go in there and you scroll down. It says like here's a configuration example, and then all you do is just copy and paste that JSON. And
yeah,
then yeah, view installations instructions. It takes you to the thing. You just literally paste that in, and you're pretty much good to go.
yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah,
like their interface is really nice for that. I mean, like that's kind of
yeah,
something I wish Cursor would do better. Because like you say, with these tools, it's like whatever you get used to and you use all the time. If it delivers for you, definitely roll with that. So that's windsurf.run
yeah,
for
for
those who are
sure.
doing that. Okay, that's awesome. So tell me also about this next thing that you got working on called Languine, because that's like an interesting
Yeah,
thing that I've had a lot of trouble with when I did iOS apps. It's like, yeah, translating to all these different languages. When I worked at Apple, there's a whole entire team of all these people with every specific
yeah,
language that are working on to make these strings for, billions of people
yeah.
basically. But to do that, you no longer need all these people. You could just use like a tool like this, right?
Yeah, yeah. So basically, Languine started out of the need for Midday. So Midday, of course, we're gonna cover in a bit, but we needed Midday in different languages because we are a global product. And I looked around, we found these great tools, but also, of course, they are usually manual tools that requires you to slow down your velocity. And as the single developer in all our products, together with my co-founder Victor, who's a designer, I can't wait for translations. And we figured, like, how can we use today's LLMs to provide the context, to provide the tone of voice, but also do this in seconds rather than days, right? So it's actually started out as a basic CLI tool that you run on your computer together with your own API key. While that worked, we got a lot of feedback, like the context and the tonality and everything is not the same through the different runs, right? So basically, our users pushed us to make a sauce out of it, to be able to add context, your tone of voice, and all those kind of things. So basically, it went from being a simple CLI to be a full-fledged SaaS tool in a matter of 1 month to provide the functionality for Midday and different companies. So basically, you install it in a matter of seconds, you sign in, and then you run the command to just initiate the Languine configuration file. And then when you have your translations file, you can just translate it to basically whatever language you want while having the same tonality.
Oh, wow.
And the nice thing,
yeah, I'm just taking a look here.
We have a GitHub action, basically. Let's see.
Sweet.
Where you can put it in your workflow. So it basically looks for new keys when you push. Let's say you're adding a new hero image or a hero text. You add the keys, and then Languine will figure it out and translate those, and also push that to the branch. So you're ready to merge whenever you're ready, basically.
Man, that's really cool.
So yeah.
Whoa. So get started. All you have to do is like basically hit this git command. Oh, you just npx Languine at latest and just start cooking, right? And for me, like seeing these iOS strings, Xcode strings, Markdown, like that is absolutely bonkers. And I can't tell you, for anyone who's making this app, just like the amount of effort required to do this, like management is, even if you hire people to go make the translations and bring them back to you and then putting them in all these places, it's just such a pain in the butt. So yeah, this is really, really cool. So the people can check this out. It's at like Languine.ai, right?
Yeah.
Let me just
kind of. So we have a free plan up to, 500 keys. And then it starts for $90 per month. So it's good to get going.
Yes.
And try it out and let us know, basically.
Oh, that's really, really cool. So yeah, make sure you check out Languine.ai. By the way, none of this stuff is sponsored. I love the work that Pontus is doing. And this is something, if you're a founder, if you're making apps, especially if you're like a solo developer, for me, I'm always trying to find like what are the best tools that are out there that's really going to help you like amplify your skills and save you time. And so I always like to look at people who are like many steps ahead of me, and Pontus is like way ahead of me, because you see how efficient he is. He builds apps really, really fast. And like this dude literally just got off a plane and just said, yo, I'm going to see if I could cook this directory thing like in a hot like 3 hours. And boom, delivered. And then like, scaled it. And then it's already has all these people signing in and everything like that. But that just goes with like how if you stick to one tool set and like learn it very well, you can keep building really, really fast with it. And so, like these tools come out of something he's been building for a while, called Midday AI. And we're going to get into that in just a little bit, because if you're a founder, like this is kind of where it's headed, right? So you've been exercising your development skills and you want to track your finances and all that stuff that's going on. And like, what's your run rate? What's your burn rate? And you go look for these tools and you're like, what, $300 a month just for, keeping track of a spreadsheet that I have on Excel? Like I want something that looks better than a spreadsheet so I could share with my finance bro, or my VCs or whatever like that. And it's like, and then this thing's open source, which is really cool. So yeah, like this stuff is not sponsored. This is literally me going out into the world, trying to find other people who are many steps ahead of me doing cool stuff. And then, Pontus came to be with like, all the stuff that I see on X posting and everything like that. And it's like, we have to have him on the show. So if you're watching this right now live, feel free to drop any comments or questions. And we'd love to just dig in. I think because like after we show like the Midday thing, this will be your time to actually ask questions and hang out with us. Because It's not often where you can kind of talk to someone who's much more senior, who's gone through some of the paces, so that we can learn from it. I think this is going to be a really cool opportunity for us to do that. So, yeah, tell us more about like Midday AI and kind of what you're doing in that space there.
Yeah. So basically, Midday is built out of frustration for running my own businesses for several years, right? I have had my own consulting firm for 8 years. Also worked at Klarna for 5.5 years as a consultant, where I met my co-founder Victor, who is the designer, and we've been best friends since then. Always thinking about new things to build, and we just stumbled upon like Victor has his workflow, a scattered workflow to handle his finances, send his invoices, track hours as a freelancing designer. I just got my invoicing system to shut down, or they shut it down. So I needed to find a new system. And usually I have a local system in your country that probably looks like the 90s and works the same. So we figured, why can't we build our own and basically do a thin layer between your old bank using open banking, but also putting in all these shiny new things that will basically automate a lot of things for you,
Wow,
while also flipping the table and being fully open source, a fully open startup, basically. So everything we do is publicly available. We post everything, all the steps, all the feedbacks, and basically also fully self-funded, which is really, really interesting in this finance fintech category, which we are in.
that's
And
amazing.
basically, we started, what is it, 15 months ago as an idea. I started to post on X. At that time, I had, I think it like 100 followers, and we just continued to push. I still worked full time for 6 months more. And then after that, we jumped full time on Midday, both me and Victor. And I think it has been 1 year pretty soon. And we just announced that we're going to be out of beta in 1 month. And that includes a lot of hard work behind the scenes.
So
So
no more
it has been a,
beta, straight up launch live, doing this thing.
yeah,
So if you're watching
yeah,
this right now, you can basically get in on this before it kind of launches bigger. And then
yeah,
I think one of the things that I like about this is just it's open source. Like you can take
yeah,
this and run it. But for me, especially with open source, I like to understand what the code base is doing. So if you're building with Supabase, like, yeah, what's your stack? So people can even just grab this repo and start like learning from your sauce, bro. Like you have a lot of sauce in
yeah,
here.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. So it's a multi-region Supabase instances. We're actually using their SDK the whole way because we betted on Supabase, and that has been the best return ever because we eventually going to have a mobile app. We also have a lot of different apps around, like a Slack app, etc. So
Wow.
Supabase has been a really good bet for us to not build our own backend. So in the end, we're just going to use the SDK in the mobile apps, which can be powered with Expo. So
Wow.
that has been a huge win for us.
That's amazing.
Otherwise, we use Vercel because, as I mentioned, I'm the only engineer. I don't have time to configure and manage servers.
Right.
Even though I love servers, that's not the priority right now.
Mm.
Um, so that has been a really, really nice way for me to just focus on actually shipping quality and feature for our users.
That's really cool. I want you to talk a little bit more about that because I feel like, to me, that's kind of what I'm trying to battle right now. One, I'm like trying to like live stream and meet people and learn. Two, I'm like converting. I used to do a lot of client side stuff, and now I'm kind of understanding and trying to learn the whole server realm. I know
Yeah,
I know a Unix operating system. I can build stuff, by hand if I want to, and I'm
yeah,
realizing like what's the value that I'm going to get, and then what's the value that I need to connect with the customer. And it's very clear. It's like I need to spend more time with customers. I need to spend more time interfacing there,
yeah,
to learn what the actual deliveries are for a product. So, and what
yeah,
advice would you give to people who are just starting out? Because it's an interesting thing. I don't hear a lot of people talk about that publicly. It's saying, yeah, I'm going to choose these platforms. Sure, it's going to cost me money, or maybe you get away with the free tier for a long time. But
yeah.
like, let's talk about the self-funding part because that's a really big deal too. Like you're saying self-funded in the fintech space and you're open source. Like, take me through some of those decisions.
Yeah, so I mean, we have been working on a bunch of different startups through the years, both me and Victor. We've seen great success companies pulling in a lot of money. small companies that didn't take any money, and it's like a mixed bag of different founders and different companies, right? And what we have done is basically take the raisins from these different companies and basically set out our own idea how we want to run our company. And one key feature or one key point from our side is basically be able to adapt and have our customers as our bosses, basically. I mean, we want to provide the best solution for our customers. And right now, the only way for us to do that is to purely work for them. So that's why we have the feedback button available everywhere in all emails you get from us.
Wow.
You can just reply to us. And I think together with this new wave of new platforms popping up, I think the personal touch would be even more important than ever. So we basically want to grow steady, but also smart, right?
That's really, really cool.
So,
We got the fire emojis in the chat and stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah. So tell me more about kind of what, you basically started out with building this and then starting with the customers, and then kind of how was that leap? How did you figure out like, okay, I'm just going to throw everything away and then take this next leap,
yeah. So I previously was CTO, still contractor at a US-based company. I had this like stocks and everything, but I also, as like an engineer, I want to build something on my own, right? I always felt I want to build something, and I started just like, how far can I come with building this for me with open banking, and also the goal to get Victor to change his workflow to use Midday instead. And basically, I started to post on X, and I would say X has been a really, really good fire to actually go fully on Midday, because the feedback you get from the community is like, it's great. It gives you a lot of energy. But of course, coming from the real pain point, as I do with running my own businesses, I believe I have a gut feeling what I needed to do. And that got sort of confirmed the more we started to publish things like, oh, I really needed this and I really need that. So we have found like the patterns in what founders needs to have.
I see.
And I felt like, hey, I think we have something here. Maybe we should just go full time and bet on ourselves, because I mean, we have a time here which it is really, really good for us just to try it out.
Yeah.
And I think all the feedback, and to be fair, all the interest from VCs, like, we felt like, okay, let's do this and see how far we can take it. So yeah.
Wow. So that's huge, man. I congratulate you just for, one, taking the risk, two, putting it out there, starting off with like barely even 100 people who were following you. Now you're up to like 17 to 18,000 followers, right?
And I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, and you're just continuing to put it out there, and then I think like three, sort of like by accident falling into things as they show up. And I feel like that's probably a really good message for founders, and even for myself, is that the world is changing so fast that all you have to do is just start putting one foot in front of the other and just start moving. And traditionally, my parents and people around me have always burned in to follow a traditional route, because I worked at Apple for 12 years, and like that was like kind of a thing. But being let go taught me a lot about just trying to fly on your own, right? And taking those risks, whether you're being forced to or actually believing in something that you want to believe. And so the other part that I get, especially at being an engineer myself, I was like, oh, I could do that by hand. Why do I want to pay $15 a month or $20 a month to a database company? Or like even Vercel, right? Like people are like, oh, why do I want to pay X amount of money? Tell me about that, because that's something that I'm discovering in the web dev space. It's like, yeah, I could run a Python server somewhere else, but like I'm not going to be up in the middle of the night to reboot it or resend it a cert or something if it goes down. Walk me through all these different types of things that help you with those decisions.
I mean, to be fair, my only goal has been to be able to ship as fast as possible and get things in front of users and basically have a really, really tight feedback loop. So I have been choosing and betting on tools that enables me to just focus on shipping. And of course, Vercel has a huge, huge part in that. And that has paid off really, really good. I mean, I can change something on my computer locally and be basically live in a matter of 1 minute. So that has been a really good workflow for me. But of course, Supabase, I actually used Supabase on the client's project before. And then I went sort of middle ground with my own ORM. I think it was Prisma. But then afterwards, because when you do these kind of projects for yourself or others, you realize a bunch of things because you're trying out things, and then you realize, oh, maybe I should be doing this instead.
Yeah.
And then I got up my eyes was looking through like the documentation once again, and I realized like, hey, if I go full-fledged Supabase, I get these kind of benefits with row level security and all those kind of things. Then I felt like, okay, maybe we should go fully into Supabase. Of course, it's built on top of Postgres, but it's much more than that. I've been used to work with like raw AWS and Fargate and all those EC2 instances and Elasticsearch. I mean, I think in the end, you're handling like 30% of your time to just work with your infrastructure. And I haven't done that a bit with this infrastructure that we have now with Midday, and that feels great. I mean, so that it's a good bet from my side.
That's really good. I also want to understand, like, what's the point that you realized that you had to transition from this engineer, like in the technical space, to going into the customer space? Like, did you have previous experiences like that? And then spending more time, like what I call like marketing, but more just listening to your customers, right? The customers are your boss. Like, how did that kind of come into your existence? And then what would you tell people maybe getting started today? Like if you were to kind of redo this whole formula again, like boom, you're just dropped into Twitterverse again, zero followers, you're starting fresh.
Yeah.
Like what's your setup,
So if my first advice would probably be to start today, just post everything that you do, because people will make you adapt the feedback and everything, even if it's like a bad comment or anything, you will adapt to everything. Usually you get a lot of good comments and a good feedback, and that will probably make you more excited and push even harder, of course. But I would say finding a good co-founder is probably the best decision I have ever done, because when things are going well, it's really nice to share that. But also, if it doesn't go well, it's really nice to talk through things. And I mean, behind everything is just me and my best friend Victor building this for ourselves. But we also found soon 14,000 other businesses that have the same pain points, right?
Wow.
And I would say we're still working with one by one customer at a time, because we want to have the customer experience ourselves, and we want to provide that. And of course, that means we can't do everything all the time, but we adapt. So I would just try to do things and adapt.
Okay, just do things and adapt. I mean, that's a perfect lesson. And I mean, you guys have done a beautiful job with your website. Hertzfeld Labs is also saying, yeah, I love the UX. I love the aesthetic. Like he's basically says he's been working on a personal finance app. And like his version of Midday, he's making his own version of Midday.
Yeah.
And, when I look at the app and like look at the design and like look at there's like a lot of thoughtfulness, right? Like even just the blur that goes underneath this little header thing here, this attention to detail that only like people who are into like design kind of really find right away. But like, like that stuff kind of matters in some degree if you've been around the industry for a while. Obviously, it takes you a lot of time to get to this point to do that. And I'm not saying you should spend some time, but I feel like that's where the co-founder thing kind of helps out, right? Because somebody maybe is really good with design and the other part is really good at executing in the code. So there's these little iterations that happen just between two people that sort of amplify the skill set that maybe you can't get if you're just rolling through just with one person, if you know what I mean. So that's really great, solid advice that you bring to the table. And I find, I'm rolling as a solo person, but I'm always kind of on the lookout. It's like, who is that next person who could be out there in the same space, maybe trying to achieve those same goals to get what you want to get. So, so what is your overall like kind of goal here? So in the next month, you're going to be launching Midday AI coming out of beta. Just full-fledged, ready to go. And then like, what are you doing to prepare for that? And how are you going to like, like what's the feedback been so far? Like, are you ready for this?
I mean, you're never ready. I think that is that's the thing I learned, right? You're never ready, and you're never good enough from my own perspective. And I think Victor also basically has the same thoughts, like just one more bug fix, just one more fix, just one more iteration. And I think actually pulling the trigger and really like getting it out there,
Mm,
that's going to be the most important thing moving forward, right? We're going to get uh, better feedback moving forward when we're out of beta, of course, because that's setting a new mark on midday. And I think basically this is the most exciting time for midday, because now we basically are done with version one, but we also know what we're gonna bet on coming next. I mean, we get a lot of great feedback, but it's gonna be even more important to pick the best feedback and find the patterns in the feedback to see really where can we make the most impact with our time. So it's a really exciting time for me. That I'm super excited.
that's really amazing. I mean, Pontus, I'm just so honored to have you on the show to demonstrate just a couple of the apps that you've been working on, and then your big thing with Midday and like that coming up next. And so, for people who want to check this out, that you can just go to midday.ai to go check out like Midday. If you're a founder, if you're looking to
Yeah,
kind of like coalesce your finances kind of all in one beautiful place, definitely go check that out while you can right now before it exits the beta stage, and even out of beta stage, continue to
yeah, yeah,
provide feedback. It's open source, so even if you're not someone who's in this space, but you want to learn from this project, especially if you're using Supabase, ShadCN, this whole configuration, there's just a lot of sauce in there for you to learn. For me, I just like to go back through commit histories and kind of look back and say, okay, oh, this is what they did to add that feature. Or, version 15 of Next.js came out. What did they do to adapt to that? And like, what stuff do I need to
yeah,
do in my code base? Or Tailwind's, V5 just came out. Like, are they adopting that yet? So you can learn as you go by following people's PRs, which is what I like to do. Because I'm still
yeah,
learning the
yeah,
language, it's like, oh, cool. Or there's this feature in Supabase. I did not know you could do that. And that's how you
yeah.
learn from other people's code. And I find that extremely valuable, especially for a beautiful looking project like this, which is really nice that
Thank
people
you.
can go learn from, and that you make it open source. And I definitely appreciate that. And plus the other integrations that you have in the app too. And then Languine is the other one. So Languine.ai is it, which will take
Yeah,
your basically your app, web app or iOS app, and then set up all the doc strings so you have your conversions for all these different languages pretty much in one go, which is really, really awesome.
yeah,
And then, of course, cursor.directory or windsurf.run if you're totally looking into figuring out what's the right MCP servers you're going to be using, what are the right cursor rules that you want to go ahead and check out. You could even submit now to like a directory so you can see what's trending. So that can really help you kind of sort through the noise of what's actually trending in terms of those types of things. And so, yeah, I think this is kind of a good little precursor to where your guys is headed. And I'd like to kind of end the stream is towards the end here. Figure out like, is there anything that you want to share with anyone? Any other messaging that you want to share with the audience?
I mean, I get a lot of questions like how I should start doing something, and what is the secret sauce, basically. And I think emphasize like nobody knows until you actually start to do something. And I think that is the critical thing. Like, start do something and do it as many times as possible, and basically just take it from there and learn. That's what we are doing. We're learning every day, and that's the fun part and also the journey. So yeah.
That's really cool. No, that's a really great message for those to say. And just a couple questions from the audience. I think one thing is saying, I think I missed it, but it's like decided to, what's the reason between putting it at open source and how do you profit? I think that's another question that founders have. It's like, should I open source this thing? What's the decision behind that? And then how do I make a profit? Will other people steal my app? Was that kind of any of your concerns?
Yeah, yeah. Of course, it's a concern, but also it gives for us it gives a lot of transparency and building trust from bottom up. I mentioned also that we are self-funded, which means we can't do a lot of marketing and those kind of things. So basically, building the connections with the community or building a community instead of putting a huge ad on a newspaper or something. We want to build from bottom up. And of course, I'm a developer, Victor is a designer, we are tech people, right? So we figure, why not build for our own people, basically, and build together with them. And then, of course, the benefits, like if we can convince tech people to use our system to run their businesses, who are the people you ask for advice when you start your company? I mean, usually it's the most tech-heavy people you know, and probably gonna use me there, right? Yeah, of course, that's what was a good idea to do, and also basically just have the community's eyes. Also, I mean, we get contributions and everything. Media is a huge project. We have huge plans. Just talking about like integrations and all those kind of things, and we are live in all countries. We're gonna have a lot of integrations made from the community, which I can't do by myself.
Wow.
So that is a good win.
So
and talking about the profitability and charging money, of course, Midday is a cloud-based solution, a SaaS solution where you can pay for it, but also, of course, you can self-host it. Then you need bank connection and bank contracts and those kind of things. So yeah, that's the deal.
I see. That is really incredible. I am a huge fan of your work. The two of you guys are putting out, especially from a design standpoint, the open source standpoint, the community standpoint. People who are standing behind this. If you haven't had a chance, definitely go ahead and follow Pontus AB on X, and then you can follow Midday AI as well. Phenomenal human beings, obviously, sharing all that they know as they go. This has just been an incredible way to just kind of, talk about this and make people aware that, here, there's other people who are building like this. For me, I've just learned so much about, this whole process. And it's kind of like, for me, it's just keep following my heart, keep building, keep learning, keep iterating. Like you say, just launch it, put it out there, keep going, learn as you go. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be perfect. I think that's one of the biggest things for me, especially coming from a company like Apple, where everything was always sort of like as perfect as possible. You spend a year iterating on something, it's like, and then it's ready to go. But when it launches, it's like 200 million people use it immediately. So it's like, like 1% error is a big error rate. And so here it's a little bit different. So it's like, if I get 10 people to use it, I'm excited. So it's like, the room for error is much larger, but like you say, transitioning and talking to the customers are more important so that you can have that direct connection, deliver that value, and iterate with them. And part of the reason,
be fair, you can actually turn that to a really good thing if you have errors, which you're gonna have errors, right? And if you put it out there and a customer says like, this button doesn't work, but then you have this flow of actually fixing things fast, right? It's fixed and out in 5 minutes, and you say, thanks for reporting, it's now fixed. You're converting a frustrated customer to be like, oh shit, you actually fixed this? I mean, this is amazing. So you're converting customers to be a bit frustrated to be your core users. And I think that is the mental model which we have. Like, don't be afraid to ship often and fix it.
That's another gold nugget. Like, that's why you don't just leave the streams early. You stay around for these gold nuggets, because this is fire, bro. Dang. So your advantage as a solo developer or solo team can be, you ship it with bugs, but if you can turn around that fix in 5-10 minutes and then hit that back, the loyalty you build is even better. So that encourages them to keep coming back to the app, giving more feedback because they know it's going to get done right away, or they know you're keeping track of it and you're kind of keeping them in the loop, especially at this early stage because you're going to be building anyways. Damn, that's genius. Bro, wow. And because they're using your app, you'd rather have them use your app than use your app for 5 minutes and then never use it again. Dang. Yeah. Okay. Bro, I need to go get building. This is so good, man. Holy smokes. Okay. I like this. This is the sauce. This is what I'm talking about. So for those who are going to be rewatching the stream, if you get to this point, drop any comments, drop any questions, because I want to have Pontus back. And I feel like we need to do like a founder level interview to just kind of keep this vibe going. I'm a solo founder. I'm trying to launch my apps and do my things, with my whole platform and stuff. And, I love bringing people on like Pontus to just talk the game, talking the game is super serious, super helpful. What frustrations have you been running into as a developer? What frustrations have you been running into maybe in marketing or design that you're kind of running into that that you can help? All of this stuff is going to be very helpful for all of us to help grow. I mean, like, this is a community. This is why I do this. I turn on the camera, I bring people on. I like their stuff. It's like, come on in. There's no pay to play here. Like, nobody here is sponsoring anything. And this is solely out of the love of trying to build, and like all of us learning and sharing back together. And I feel like that's how we're all going to win, right? If I share some rules, like Pontus, build the thing that shares rules to other people so other people can share it more efficiently, right? So like, I don't want to be copying and pasting. I want to go to one certain place to have it all. So that's amazing.
Yeah.
So cursor.directory, windsurf.run, run it all, and midday.ai. Check out Pontus. Absolutely lovely.
Thanks.
So thank you so much for popping on the stream. It's been a super pleasure to have you here. And I'm really excited to kind of see you come out of launch, and we'll love to have you back in the next month when you get everything all
for sure.
Launched up, and we get some people to come on the show and share their feedback, share their thoughts and stuff. So appreciate it. Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me.
Definitely. All right, y'all. Make sure to tune in. Ray Fernando 1337 there to catch me on the live streams. Make sure you hit that when you subscribe. The algos don't like to show you whenever I go live right away. So there's like a little alert button. You can say alert for all the alerts. And so when I go live on YouTube, you'll be immediately like pinged up there saying, hey, he's live right now. So I tend to try to go live like around 9 a.m. during the week or so, and maybe on the weekends. But there'll be other times where I'm not, and I feel like this could be a lot of value to you if you want to catch the lives and kind of ask some questions and so forth. So big shout out to everyone who's currently a member who's sponsoring Ray Fernando 1337 through YouTube. I really appreciate the Let Me Cook fam. You get access to basically my little private Discord community for everyone to chat with, along with being able to chat and have your little name kind of called out and stuff like that. It's really, really fun. And so yeah, more perks, more things coming soon. And Pontus, thank you so much. And the rest of y'all, I'll see y'all very soon. All right, y'all. Peace out.
Bye-bye.